There it is.
And we're back.
We're back.
Again.
Episode 13.
Is
A
it 13?
little baker's dozen.
Oh, yeah. Baker's dozen.
Love it.
I'm
hungry.
You're good? Are you ready to throw down?
Okay.
Because we got different opinions on today's topic.
Okay. I'm curious to hear so I'm Adam.
Right. Oh, that's right. I'm Steve.
That's right. Welcome to WhiteBoard Sessions podcast. As we said, episode 13. Everybody knows the rules.
I'm a little anxious to get into this.
I know. I'm curious to hear what the topic is now.
So we joke a lot with clients and just privately that Adam loves to exploit the age difference in this relationship. There's approximately 20 years. I mean, you've got youth and vibrance and intelligence and good looks and vim and vigor. And so as people are coming back from the pandemic, I mean, honestly, I'm kind of being playful, but I'm also serious. To come back to work and work at work like we used to, or to stay home in your pajamas with the puppy. What's right?
Hold on, I feel personally attacked on that one.
Yeah, the puppy or the pajamas?
Yeah. I mean, Zoom is from here up. It's okay.
Yeah, that's right. And now we got the blur screen, right?
Yep.
So I mean, you can't see if the bed's made or the drapes and the couch match. Yeah.
Yep, that's right.
So honestly, it's a huge controversy. There's businesses that are back already, like October 1st. There's some businesses we're working with that are coming back in January, and so.
Some hybrid.
Yeah, some hybrid.
Some are doing both.
Absolutely. So what do you think?
So is that what you're hitting me with the topic? The remote versus in office?
Yeah, because I know where you're at.
On that topic?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I mean, anybody that knows me knows I'm a firm believer, and I think you can get your work done anywhere, right? It's not necessarily like work from home for me. It's just remote working, right? It's not, this is a little bit off topic, but I'm also a fan of everybody getting their breaks in too. I think too many people, they're used to the remote work, and even when they go on vacation, they're going to work. And at home, they end up working a little bit of a longer day just because they're home. There's no commute. They feel maybe a little more comfortable or whatever. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that. Absolutely. Yeah. I think you can get the work done. I'm also under the assumption that, you base results off of, or you base success off the results, not just like what you start. Right. So if somebody's not performing, it might not be just because they're at home, or if they are at home and they're trying to exploit that, well, you're going to find that out eventually anyways. So
whether they're in the office or out of the office.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. But I have a feeling you don't totally agree.
Yeah. Well, so, I've spent my entire career in soft skills, relationships and communication and leveraging energy and building commitment and things like that. And I don't think that there's any question in the minds and the hearts of most people that working remote creates a little bit of a distance from people. And I think that, there was something that you just said that I was going to,
so the vacation, was it the working longer days?
Well, right. The working longer days, I think you and I agree that we don't really give a rip how long it takes you to get there. If you can get the job done in 4 hours, God bless you.
Yep.
Aren't you lucky that you're efficient, you're competent, you're highly skilled? Yep. And if you can get the job in 4 hours when typically we're budgeting 8, good for you.
Yeah, exactly.
On the flip side, if it takes you 10, that's what it's going to take. So I think that getting the work done and getting the results, you and I are in sync on that deal.
Absolutely.
No matter what it takes. But as I think I missed the baby boomer generation by a year or two. And so there's still some of that old school in me that, being present, being visible, people actually seeing you doing your job. Or if you're sitting there and you're a person that can get 8 hours of work done or 8 hours of results done in 4 hours, I'd like to give you more stuff.
Yeah, well, exactly. That's where my mind was going, was like, if you can get it done in 4 hours, awesome. That's really cool. It's the leader's role to make sure you have those spaces filled and to make sure you don't, obviously it's to find that fine line between not feeling overworked and burning out and all that good stuff. And, we have a podcast about burning out. Yeah. But also if you are like, you're not being totally efficient to the job you have either, or the industry or, the business. So there is a fine line of balancing those for sure. I think, we agree on that. We agree on the, on having some remote work, but I think we maybe disagree. I still don't like, I I'm trying to think of how to explain this. I still think it's great to have in-person stuff, but I could go a long time without seeing it and still feel like I'm effective.
Why did you look at me when you said you could go a long time without seeing
somebody? I was, looking off to the side, I think. Did we mention it's been a while since we recorded a podcast?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, it's, but I think maybe where we differ is maybe that particular thing, because I feel like I can still be effective or have good communication or feel connected to my teams with the businesses we work with through Teams, through phone calls, through harnessing those good relationships, right? Not just making it all about work, asking how their weekend was, touching on the personal subjects just to, build that relationship.
Right. So like a classic, mid-30s, all that touchy-feely
millennial
shit. You represent that very well. I want to make sure that you are good, and I'm not mocking the touchy-feely stuff. I'm just saying that there's a lot of that. I mean, that's very much who I am. You're also a person that gets stuff done.
Yeah.
You're very efficient at that. And so when I look at people that I'm working with or working for me or whatever, they got to be able to get stuff done. And I think that hitting deadlines and getting results, that generates freedom.
Yeah.
For other people. And I think that's an important dynamic to establish.
I think another area maybe where we agree, before I get to one that I think we disagree, is that when you and I are meeting with people over Teams, whether it's separately or together, whatever, and somebody comes on, they don't turn the camera on for Teams or Zoom. That I think that's where we agree to. Historically, I would have been like, whatever. But the more I, I'm in it, and the more experience I have with all of that kind of stuff, the longer it goes on, I'm like, come on, just turn your camera on, right? It's like, who cares what your house looks like or what you look like? You would have to come to the office anyways, and people would see what you look like. So who cares?
Well, and like we've said, that whole blur screen, it doesn't matter what your house looks like.
Yeah.
Set the setting, and all we see is your face.
Yeah.
And everything else looks like it's glowing like heaven.
Yeah, exactly. I have probably a little less capacity for people that have their camera off, and I think that's the way you do too.
What trips your trigger on that? When they don't turn their camera on?
Yeah.
It's
almost like I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in this, but to me, it's almost like a disrespect thing. Like I don't want. I'm only going to give like half to this convo. Yep. I'm not going to fully be present.
Yeah. So respect is one. Is there another word that comes to mind that starts with T? Trust.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Trust.
I mean, it's just like, what are you hiding?
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's what I mean. Are you like not turning your camera? Like, is it really about looks or the background or whatever? Or is it because you're like doing something off to the side and you have it on so you can hear?
Right.
Right. And then we've talked about that before too. Hearing versus listening.
Yes.
Listening to hear, listen to respond, things like that.
Right.
But yeah, that's what rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah. Now I want to say that I do have opinions, and I think our perspective on this is probably more similar than different, but there are some noticeable difference. Mm-hmm. I need to say that, since 2004, I gave up the office space that I was leasing. And at the time we were building a home, and I built in office space. And so I have been taking advantage of, I guess, what's now known as remote work or working from home. And I find that my days are a lot longer, more hours. And yeah, I probably get more done, and I probably do more work, but there's also days where I could get work done in a shorter, concentrated period of time, but because I let the dogs out, or I load the crock pot, or I throw a load of laundry in, or I go work out, 4 hours can become, frankly, 10.
Yeah.
But my quality of life goes up.
Exactly.
And that sort of thing. So yeah, I do want to say that, but I think as we move forward, and if this remote thing is going to be part of the deal, and it is, accountability needs to go way up. People need to expect that if you're going to be at home, you're expected to be more accountable. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
That what are you doing with your time? What are you working on today?
Yeah.
What people are you talking to? And to stay in more contact. In my opinion, if we're going to give people the flexibility to use technology and tools to its fullest potential, then use those tools to stay more engaged.
Yeah, exactly.
Because at the office, I may or may not walk by a desk or an office and see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? I may or may not. And if I don't, well, then you can do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to know about it. But when we're remote, I think the responsibility lies with the people to communicate more and to be more accountable for the activities.
I think it's never a bad thing to communicate more, period.
Yeah.
For sure. I think the thing that rubs me the wrong way is you still hear about leaders or companies nowadays being like, yep, forcing people to come back in. Everybody's got to be butts and seats. And I'm like, even the hybrid thing, the only hybrid solution I agree with is letting the employee choose if they want to come back to work or stay remote, because there is we went over some stats in a recent couple podcasts about there is still a chunk more like the suburban couple maybe with kids that want to go back into the office, but then there's people maybe my generation or younger that want to stay remote. So if it's a hybrid where you can let your employees choose, cool, by all means. That's probably like the best solution, honestly.
Yeah. Well, and this is where we're going to end up in the parking lot, because I couldn't disagree more. I feel like, letting the employees, if that's the take, let the employees completely decide if they want to come back or not. That's like saying, hey, kids, Halloween was on Sunday, and if you'd like to have a Hershey bar for dinner, go ahead and have that. Otherwise, I got these vegetables and meatloaf for dinner. You pick.
Hey, I'm all down for that Hershey bar. Let's do this. No.
Yeah, that's because you wouldn't eat either.
Yeah,
you got some Sprouts or something.
I got a whole pizza. We're gonna have the whole thing.
Yeah, but I do think that you're raising an issue that, and I had a meeting today with a client, and we were kicking off this foundational leadership program. And there are some biases that I have. As an almost 55-year-old guy, I have some preferences. But if I'm going to engage valuable people that are 20 years younger, I better pay attention to what their preferences are, even if they're the opposite of mine. I think that's what it takes to be successful.
That's a good point. One of the things I'm working on right now with a customer is customer experience, right? Big CX, UX.
Yeah.
And people always like to talk about in business the journey map of the customer, right?
Yeah.
Well, before you get to the journey map, you need to know the needs and expectations of your customer. The customer of the business is its employees.
Yes.
If you don't know the needs and expectations of that employee, and their expectation or need might be remote work, you're going to be behind. You're going to lose some.
That's why I work with this genius, because he's just got a way of kind of buttoning this stuff up. And I think that is an awesome way to bring this whole playful yet serious conversation in for a landing. And that is, people that own and run businesses, make sure you understand what Adam just said. Your customer is not the customer. Your customer is your employees. And to enter into a conversation. Now, and conversation may not be absolutely accurate. It may be a straight up negotiation, because as you've heard, he's got hardcore opinions and preferences. If we're going to keep talented people involved, we have to pull out from them what their preferences are. We have to know what our absolutes are as business owners and business leaders, and know what we're willing to do and what we might be willing to negotiate. And as leaders, managers, owners, we need to start the conversation. My opinion here, start the conversation, draw it out, be prepared to listen, not necessarily make a decision right on the spot, to give it some time to marinate, and then finally make a decision. And when we communicate that decision, odds are it's not going to be exactly what employees want. If they want to be 100% remote, it may not be exactly what employers want, which might be 100% on site. There might be a hybrid. So be prepared to communicate the concessions that both sides are making to get to a mutually agreeable solution.
And if you don't, you will lose good employees.
Oh my gosh.
May or may not be speaking from personal experience.
Right. And
it will
it's a
happen.
morale killer and just all of that. Yeah. If your employees, your customers are not happy, the odds of the end user, the actual customer being happy, go way down if your employees aren't.
Exactly. That's a great point to end it with. On that note, episode 13, Baker's Dozen.
In the books. Thanks for your passionate thoughts.
Thanks. See, you can disagree and still have a productive, healthy conflict now.
That's right. But we are live.
Yeah, exactly. Once this microphone goes off, we're going out to the parking lot.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, guys.
See you next time.
Yeah.